Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, President Trump does it again. He just pulled off what all the so-called experts said was impossible. It's been one of the president's top priorities, not just from his second term, but from his first term. Back in 2016, he's argued for NATO members to pay their fair share to commit 5% of GDP in defense spending across the board. And well, folks, it seems as though today President Trump gets his way. Well, almost. There's one nation that seems to be playing hardball, and that's Spain. But just this morning, every NATO nation is now forced to pay up. Once again, President Trump is doing what no other leader could. He's putting America first and finally forcing these freeloading Europeans to pull their damn weight. Let me show you guys exactly what happened here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so the NATO Summit in Hague just became the scene of one of the biggest foreign policy wins in modern American history. President Trump is seen boarding Air Force One with a little bit of a jump in his step. And that's because he got the alliance to sign off on the Hague Defense Commitment, which is a formal pledge to increase spending to 5% of GDP. And what that means in terms of monetary value is $1 trillion a year, now flowing into Western defense with zero additional burden on the American taxpayer.
I'm sure they've been talking about it. It's really been a big focus. In a very historic milestone this week, the NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP. Something that no one really thought possible. And they said, "You did it, sir, you did it." Well, I don't know if I did it, but I think I did. This will be known as the Hague Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate. When the Allies reach this number, it will add more than $1 trillion a year. Think of that, $1 trillion per year to our common defense. And this is a monument really to victory, but it's a monumental win for the United States because we were carrying much more than our fair share. It was quite unfair, actually. But this is a big win for Europe and for actually Western civilization. For years, past administrations failed to get most allies to contribute even the 2%.
Now, I should add the caveat that it only really kicks in 10 years, but hey, better late than never. And you could bet your last dollar that if it wasn't Trump, this would have never happened. Any other president would have just allowed the current status quo to exist pretty much endlessly. Well, President Trump once again bucks the trend, steps in, clearly displaying strength, but most importantly, clarity of message, and he reminded these nations that America isn't their doormat anymore. It's absolutely wonderful to see. It's a breath of frickin' fresh air. And if that wasn't enough of a flex, Trump then immediately puts Spain on notice, because as I alluded to earlier, not every country is on board. No, there's one that's holding out, and that's Spain. It seems, according to the reports, that they tried to negotiate some sort of a carve-out, meaning every other NATO nation has to commit to 5%, but for some reason, they got themselves exempt, and well, let's just say President Trump isn't exactly taking that so well. Just take a look.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah. A question on Spain. Are you satisfied with today's...
Oh, I think Spain's terrible what they've done. No, I do. They're the only country that won't pay the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And you know, they're doing very well. The economy is very well. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. You know, Spain is the only country that... Are you from Spain?
Yeah.
Good, congratulations. You're the only country that is not paying. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's too bad. So we'll make it up. You know what we're going to do? We're negotiating with Spain on a trade deal. We're going to make them pay twice as much. And I'm actually serious about that. We're going to make Spain... I like Spain. I have so many people from Spain that it's a great place and they're great people. But Spain is the only country out of all of the countries that refuses to pay. And, you know, so they want a little bit of a free ride. but they'll have to pay it back to us on trade because I'm not going to let that happen. It's unfair. It's unfair to NATO. All right.
And so Trump's response is, okay, fine, then enjoy tariffs. I don't know about you guys, but this is the exact kind of leadership that I think we've been begging for. No more appeasement, no more constant Obama apologies, no more blank checks for Ukraine. If you want American protection, or if you want to start a war, if you want to fight a war till the last Ukrainian, well then pay up, pay for it. I really don't get what's so complicated here. I think President Trump is 100% right to apply this pressure. You know, Spain shouldn't get to hide behind the US military while investing peanuts for its own defense. And for decades, that's exactly what's been happening. European countries have underfunded their militaries under the assumption that America would foot the bill. And while Trump clearly understands two things, that firstly, obviously that's not fair, and secondly, you can't have a functioning alliance when half the members are freaking freeloading. And very simply put, this is what results look like. This is what getting the job looks like. You know, while Joe Biden stumbled around in Europe getting laughed off the stage, his presence really didn't matter. It wasn't so consequential. He was there for a quick little weekend at Bernie's photo op, then immediately sent home. You know, not much was needed, not much was required in terms of negotiations because the assumption was that Joe Biden was just another globalist placeholder and that no matter what happened, no matter what they said, American funding would never dry up. America would always be the sucker. Well, with Trump, it's a little bit different. Everything's a deal. And this time he walked in and sat down with these leaders and very quickly walked out of there with $1 trillion defense win. $1 trillion frickin' bucks. You know, maybe that's why they're calling Donald Trump daddy.
Hello.
Deborah Haynes from Sky News. Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No.
But do you
He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you and they're spending more, and you're obviously appreciative of that, but do you hope that actually they're going to be able to defend themselves, defend Europe on their own without
I think they
the
need
United
help a
States?
little bit at the beginning, and I
But
think
in
they'll
the
be able
end-
to, and I think they're going to remember this day. And this was a big day for NATO. You know, this was a very big day.
I mean, that literally happened. And it also led to this moment, which went viral all over social media. Just take a look at Marco Rubio's expression here.
Do you regard your NATO allies?
I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you? You're obviously appreciative of.
I think the cold hard fact is that President Trump is just an absolute beast. He shows up to these globalist events and they call him daddy, and well, you could just imagine what they were calling Joe Biden. Now, how should I conclude here? Well, I guess this pretty much sums it up. America is back, baby. And I'm sure the Europeans would vocally disagree with that, but their actions tell a very different story now, don't they? Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.